Everybody, welcome to Spitballin Cards. I am Jeff from Blabbin' About Slabbin', filling the host seat for Scotty B, who is off on assignment. I think he's writing Billy Butler's biography or something. But we've also got the Market Movers Maestro, Teapot, with us. Phil from the Filmington channel, Bowman and prospect expert, and also SSP expert Chris, and my co-host of Blabbin' About Slabbin'. Hello, everybody. We got a lot to talk about because we've got baseball. The season's about 3 weeks in now. There's a lot of people getting hurt, pitchers and hitters aside. Let's talk about the guys who have actually played and gotten some games in, some cold starts and some hot starts, and how we think they're going to affect their cards. So, Phil, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, let's talk about this guy right here. Bobby Witt Jr. is absolutely killing it right now. I mean, it's only been, two and a half weeks at this point, but he is tops in the league in expected WOBA, expected batting average, 98th percentile, expected slugging. So, one of the things that I look at when we're dealing with small samples of data for hitters, I look at if their walk rate and strikeout rate has changed to see if, is this more than just a hot streak? Is this a true breakout? And with Witt, the strikeout rate has actually gone up a few percentage points, and the walk rate has gone up from 5.7 last year to 6.9 this year. But I think that the biggest thing with Witt, if you look at his spray chart, so as you can see here in 2024 this year, his 4 home runs are either dead center or opposite field. Even his triples, for the most part, are opposite field. As you see here, you'll see his singles and doubles kind of sprayed out evenly as well. But if you were to look at what he did last year, look at the pink, those are home runs. Almost everything is pulled, right? So, and if you take this back a little bit further and look at his pull percentage, he is right around, I think, 35 to 40% is usually where he sits. Even in the hot streak last August, if you guys remember that, he was still pulling the ball 35% of the time. And this year he's around 20%. So he cut that almost in half. And I know Scott brought up as one of the possible risk factors with Bobby Witt this year. What if the defense regresses? Shortstop, premium position, but last year he was basically top in the league and outs above average for that position. So that's huge for his WAR. This year, I believe he is 98th percentile, so he's right back there. And of course, he's got the sprint speed. So I know a lot of people knocked him, saying he doesn't have the it factor or the flash of a J-Rod. But do you guys agree? Would you guys take that back if you could?
Yeah, he looks great. He looks fantastic. I think I'd have one Bobby Witt card. I wish I had more, but I feel like all of what he's doing is already, I hate to say this phrase, baked into the prices. So I'm not sure I'm actively buying Witt right now, but I'm buying the performance because I think everything looks great. He's taken a step forward.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, and it definitely stands out when you compare him to guys like J-Rod, who is in the same class, who's not exactly getting off to a scorching start. So, yeah, but like Chris said, I'm in the same boat. He's already came up priced so high that for me, I haven't even really noticed. Phil, how has it affected his hot start? Affected his card values at all? I mean, I was already priced out before that, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Teapot has more detailed information, but I've noticed anecdotes of around 10 to 25% on some of his cards. I own one of them. I was able to take one in a trade, actually, giving up a Jackson Holliday, which looks really good right about now. But then again, I did sell a pretty big Witt card. Chris, I had that Heritage Gold Refractor. Sold that in the offseason for a profit. A profit's a profit, right? But yeah, I wish I still had that card.
Win's a win.
The one thing with Witt, though, right now, if you were to really nitpick, his whiff rate is up. So he's swinging and missing more than usual on pitches inside the zone and outside the zone. He's around 30%, a little bit above 30%, which is 24th percentile in the majors. So something to look out for, because when he's making contact, he's hitting the ball real hard. So he's changed something up a little bit. Let's see if it sticks.
All right, great. Yeah, Witt is definitely off to a hot start. And so are the Royals. They're kind of an exciting team to watch. They've got a lot of young guys there, so we'll see if they can hold on. Chris, who's somebody you want to point out for a hot or cold start?
Well, I will say Cole Reagans looks great kind of for just strictly a fantasy player. I don't have any of his cards. I certainly would not advise buying any pitcher cards. Phil and I have sort of a deal that anytime one of us even suggests buying a pitcher card, like we have to stop the other one from doing it. And I feel like we all need a buddy system. But anyway, I just want to say personally, for the first 2.5 weeks of the season, between Strider, Acuna, Vlad Jr., Devers, those Ohtani rumors, Fried stinks, Cole's not pitching, like we're one Freddie Freeman toothache away from me being on a personal suicide watch. Like everyone I like, for the most part, is off to a rough start. But I want to talk about one of those guys in particular, and that is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who it seems like every year we hear the same thing. He's hitting the ball really hard, and we just got to work on the launch angle. More fly balls. He's got to get balls. He's got to get balls up in the air. Like his expected numbers are always so much higher. And I'm telling you right now, like, I'm done. Like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me 5 out of 6 seasons, shame on me even more. Like, this is bad. So I'm done. He is reaching some pretty ridiculous ground ball numbers at this point. He's hitting under 200. His ground ball rate is 49%. It is ticking up. Like, whatever he's trying to do, it's not working. They even moved the fences in Toronto to help him, but I don't care. Like, you can move the fences in at 210 feet. Ground balls aren't going to go out. So I'm officially out on Vladimir Guerrero. I'm done. Jeff, if I ever suggest buying another Vladimir Guerrero card, I want the 5-finger slap right across the face. All right. You have got to be my personal, like, you got to hold me accountable and stop me.
We were just hoping for a hot start so we could sell some of the cards that we have already. And when he hits in the air, it goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. I just keep seeing the same 2 home runs. He hit 440 some odd feet over and over and over again. But he has like 45 ground balls in between all that. I can't handle this anymore. Enough's enough. I don't care how hard he's hitting it. I don't care about if it's not in the air. He can't do it.
I mean, look at that. Look at all that red again. It makes him seem like he should be playing better than a guy hitting 180 with 3 home runs.
No, I've had it. I'm tired of looking at that. I'm tired of telling myself.
Yes. It's like he's the guy that broke that website.
Yeah, I agree. Every year it's red. It's completely red, and it's like, oh, all righty. When are we going to see the positive regression? Then it never comes.
Yeah,
it's just odd.
Yes, I've convinced myself of this for 5 consecutive years. I'm out. I'm done. I will not convince myself again.
There are some positive signs. I was looking at Vlad a little bit earlier today, and average exit velocity of 94.3 this year is only behind the 2021 breakout that he had. And he is walking a lot, so he's being a little bit more selective. He's got a decent chase rate. But, I mean...
his launch angle is 7.5. It's down 3 from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they want to take that spot of turf right in front of home plate and make it like some sort of super elastic substance so he can just bounce doubles over the fence. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they can do at this point. I just don't know. But I'm tired of wondering, and I'm tired of hoping and convincing myself that something good is going to happen. I don't know. He might go down as one of the, like, I mean, how many prospects have been an 80 grade hit tool and just not been able to hit for power? It's weird, but I don't know. So
what's his contract like?
He's a free agent after next year.
Okay.
Arbitration this year. I think he's making like $20 million. Arbitration next year, and then he's a free agent.
And they haven't really been making overtures towards signing him in Toronto. So I don't know. Maybe they're through with him too.
I mean,
he's not. He's going to want like $25 million a year, and he's nowhere near that value. I would sign Bichette before I sign Guerrero.
Yeah, maybe he needs to change the scenery.
Kind of 1-2 tool. He's the power is above average, even for the position. And then he still has a decent average, or should theoretically most years. But other than that, I know he won a Gold Glove, but the defensive metrics don't really line up to that. So,
All right, Ty, bring us back to somebody with a hot start, maybe.
Yeah. There's somebody I want to talk about who I think we are all celebrating probably so far this season, and that's Mr. Trout. So Mike Trout is off to a great start. Obviously, the Angels, who knows what their team is going to do for the season. But it's exciting to see him playing. So I'm going to knock on wood physically right now and say, let's keep that going. We all know that as long as he's playing, he's Mike Trout. And that's the big thing. We talked about that in many episodes already. So he's off to a pretty good start. He's got, you can see 1.009 OPS. I'll jump over. I think his OPS plus.
He just hit another home run before we came on tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Is that 7 or is that 7 or 8?
He's hot. That's he's up to 7. That put him at 7 then.
Nice.
So OPS plus was at 192 going into tonight. So yeah, he's having a great season. It's exciting to see him play well. I was, looking at his stats next to another guy who's off to arguably the best start in baseball this year, and that's Mookie Betts. And just kind of looking at their career numbers and thinking about Scott saying, is there a world where Mookie Betts finishes his career better than Mike Trout with the runway left? And I think a lot of that has to do with games played. But if we go back to, 2017 up until now, Mookie's had the better performance, I would say, overall. But it's interesting. Plus, he's got the championships, to go with it. Both of these guys off to awesome starts. A lot of other guys, not so much. So it's exciting to at least see kind of these two anchors of the hobby and of the baseball world both playing really well this season so far.
Yeah, I love to see Trout off to that good start. Like you said, the fact that he's playing, his health is probably the biggest surprise, that he's stayed healthy so far. He's looking good. That team is still kind of a black hole. I think Rendon's still batting leadoff, right? And he's got like 1 RBI, handful of hits. He's not complaining too much yet, so I guess he's still happy to come to the ballpark. But yeah, I don't know, that they're surprisingly winning. I believe they're over 500. So the longer they hang around, maybe Trout can play some meaningful games.
Well, Logan O'Hoppy's playing well, and so is Taylor Ward, who's back from that nasty face injury last year when he just got smoked and had to have surgery, and I think 3 plates put into his head. So he's off. You never know how that can impact somebody, in the batter's box after they take that kind of a hit. But Taylor Ward's playing great. So both of those guys are certainly helping offset any of the other schmoes who may not know how to hit.
Yeah, one other guy that Chris didn't mention is a guy that we're fans of that has actually got off to a good start, and that's Juan Soto. And he's characteristically a very slow starter. So I'm really excited to see him coming out, swinging, hitting the ball opposite field, pulling it. I know Chris has mentioned he's got a couple cheap Yankee Stadium home runs already, but he's also put a couple the opposite way, and he's getting on base as usual and just an anchor of that lineup. So I'm really happy for him and for the fans of his and collectors of his. Yeah, that's a lot of red. Wow.
Yeah, he's looked great. Teapot, have we seen any big Soto sales on market movers that we can see?
I think, didn't he have a big dynasty sale? I'm pretty sure. He had a really big dynasty sale, but I haven't been actually paying too close of attention to his higher sales.
Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
It went for $1,100-$1,200 more than the red Topps Chrome update number to 25, which was a BGS 10. So I think each of those cards went for under 10K. I think the red went for mid 8s maybe, and I think the Dynasty, which was a PSA 10, forget it was number to 5 or number to 10, that went
number
for
to 10,
9,500 ish.
Yeah, 9,200. Yep.
I also saw I remember Jeff and I talked about. I saw a Bowman's Best Gold auto in a PSA 10 went for $2,550, I think, over the weekend, or maybe a couple days before the weekend. So it seems like his stuff is maybe slightly ticked up. I don't know. Ty, you could tell us better.
He's definitely been hot. Yeah, overall he's been really hot, and so has Witt. Witt's been hotter on his more liquid cards for sure. His lower dollar PSA 10 kind of rookie stuff has all doubled or more in price, which isn't saying a ton, but he's definitely seen price movement at lower levels, and higher I haven't seen as much, but both of those guys are very hot right now.
Yeah. All right. I have another guy who's off to a very slow start, and I'm curious if you guys are concerned. Julio Rodriguez has looked a little bit lost at the plate, but statistically, in his career, April is his worst month by a lot. So generally, I'm not worried. I did almost feel bad for him. I don't know if you saw on Sunday night, which was yesterday, they gave him the day off to sort of clear his head. And then they asked him to pinch run in the 9th inning, and he got picked off to end the game.
Oh, jeez.
So, the poor guy, just can't seem to do anything right. at this point. But I would see, I look at this as for Julio a potential buying opportunity if you see a dip in his prices. Because like I said, April, if you do look at his splits for his career, April is definitely his worst month. So there might be some
one extra base hit I see.
Oh yes, wow.
Oh yep, there it is.
Wow. Oh, he hasn't even hit one to the wall.
No, that looks like a pop-up that may have like bounced and kind of sliced into the stands.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, that whole team isn't hitting very much. I think Mitch Garver, who's like their cleanup hitter, is hitting about a $110. So yeah, Julio's off to a tough start.
Yeah, what's your overall concern level with him, Phil?
I mean, it's not ideal. If a lot of people were banking on him to make the sort of Ronald Acuna leap this year, thinking that, okay, we've had 2 really solid seasons. Now maybe this is the year he puts it all together. He's still super young. Maybe the shape isn't like Ronald Acuna with a 10 to 15% K rate and a decent walk rate. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more like what Witt's doing this year. But yeah, it's not good. But we're still early on in the season, like Chris said, and this is his historically his worst month. Although Juan Soto is bucking the trend this year, so April's usually a slow month for him.
It's nice to see with Soto, but yeah, last year I think it was April and even into May that it was pretty cold for J-Rod before he turned it on. And you look at what he ended up with. I think what you just had up there was 32, 37, 37. 32, 37 last year. Is that what he finished with? So, I mean, 30-30 season, even with that terrible start. So, like you said, I think a lot of people were thinking, wow, well, if he just gets off to a reasonable start, he's got a great chance at 40-40 this year. And so far, we haven't seen that. So, yeah, I'd say a little bit of concern.
Yeah, he was really inconsistent last year. Most of his numbers came in August. Remember, he had that stretch of like consecutive multi-hit games. I think he had like 3-4 hit games in a row. So, I mean, hopefully we'd like to see our star players be more consistent throughout the year and not just be a black hole for 2 months and then turn it on. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I'm still all in on Julio Rodriguez personally. Maybe take that as a warning, other collectors.
Yeah, get out now. He's going to get injured soon.
Phil, was there another Yankee you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, so it's this guy here. His name is Anthony Volpe. So I am Italian, so I guess I can root for him based on that. And that my favorite player is on his team, who I share a birthday with, Juan Soto, both born October 25th. But Volpe right now is absolutely killing it. We'd be remiss to not bring up his name at this point. And this is a guy that I said a few episodes ago, like, I don't think anybody expects a significant skills improvement. And look what we're seeing. And to be honest, guys, this is a guy that went 2020 last year with elite level defense at the shortstop position. If that's his floor, watch out. And if he can stay in that number 1 spot and I guess fend off DJ LeMahieu, which should be easy enough. The key is performance, right? And I think offline, Chris, you were bringing up some points about how he's been lucky. And yeah, he's been a little bit lucky. So as expected, WOBA is 388. His actual WOBA is 459, but still expected 388 is really solid. And if you looked at some of the flaws he had last year, well, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. But his walk rate last year was 8.7, and now it's up to 15%. I know it's still early. His K rate last year was 28%. Now it's 14. And one of the issues he had last year was hitting anything that wasn't a fastball. He wasn't able to hit. Maybe because the uppercut swing, whatever, the approach just wasn't working. So he's going in with a flatter swing this go around, which is hurting his launch angle. We just talked about Vlad, but I think it's working.
You had that savant photo up. What is his sprint speed? Because it looks like he's got like 15 infield hits already.
Yeah, the sprint speed this year, I think, is also up. I think last year it might have been around 50 percentile.
He must be beating out
89,
everything.
89 percentile. Yeah, so I don't know why that
showed a lot of infield hits. That was
and then outs above average. Like I said, the defense is still strong, 93rd percentile. So I think what we're going to see is hitting more fastballs because he's showing he can hit other stuff. And then pitchers are going to adjust to his new swing, and then he's going to have to adjust back, right? And this is a guy 4 or 5 days ago on FanDuel, he was plus 15,000 to win MVP. So that's 150 to 1. I'd say that's, again, based on the floor he's already shown with the defense, playing shortstop. 2020 is sort of the floor. Reminds me a little bit of Dustin Pedroia. Remember when he won MVP his second year in the league? Of course, I think he won Rookie of the Year as well. He didn't struggle for a full season. He struggled for a month or two to start his rookie season, but kind of has a similar approach. Hits the ball for the most part to all fields, and doesn't have quite the best baseball body, as they would say. But he's doing great. The barrel rate, guys, is not impressive. And the barrel, like to hit barrels, you need a combination of two things. You need a certain exit velocity, which isn't super great for him, especially the max exit velo for him. And you want a launch angle. So the idea would be like barrels just have a higher chance of going over the fence. And I think actually one of his home runs wasn't even a barrel because he just barely cleared the wall and probably hit it super slow, like under 100 miles an hour or something.
So Phil, has his MLB debut patch been unearthed yet?
No, it has not. So we're still waiting on Jordan Walker too, and maybe a couple other studs. I don't think Grayson Rodriguez has come out either.
Oh, that's interesting. And then the bounty's still out there, right?
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's still active. Yeah.
I feel like the Grayson might have been hit this last week. I feel like I saw that I might be wrong, but I thought I saw that some breaker hit that in the last week, but
really,
maybe not.
We saw Tanner Bybee.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Bobby Miller just went to Golden. Kodai Senga has been hit and sold already. They kind of all blend in together. They're all going to end up with Tommy John this year.
They do, but none of them had the giant bounty as Anthony Volpe had.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I thought Yuri Perez's was pulled. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought we talked about it as that would be Yuri Perez's absolute best card because he doesn't have a first ballman
maybe
superfractor auto. So I thought it was pulled, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, well, he's off to a great start. I think this is what everybody or every Yankee fan was at least hoping he would have when he came up last year. And he wasn't that flashy, but like you said, he still ended up 2020 and played great defense. So we'll see what happens. Ty, what do you got?
I'll switch to a cold one and somebody I often think of in the same breath as Mike Trout, and that's Bryce Harper, who lit the whole baseball world on fire with his second game of the season, hitting 3 home runs. And aside from that, Bryce Harper has been awful so far. You guys talked about J-Rod, who has an OPS plus of 32 this season with a negative 0.4 WAR. Harper, if you take that 3 home run game out of the mix, is hitting 163 this season. He's got to be right in that same vein. He's striking out. He's got 13 strikeouts, 5 walks, more strikeouts than hits. It's just not been good for Harper so far. And, he's one of those guys who's always been super streaky, always. And when he comes to life, you just don't want to end up in a series against him like has happened in the last few seasons for the Braves. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't worry too much about him, knowing that he's kind of got this streaky nature to his game. He'll probably turn it on at some point this season. J-Rod, I'm a little more concerned about, in spite of also having a history of slow starts. He just kind of looks lost all around right now, and we'll see. We'll see if either one of those guys can come back to life.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Harper. The only thing that might concern me is that he could have injured himself when he went flying over the railing. It fell 6 feet on the concrete on opening day.
I saw that.
I don't know what he's thinking, but I mean, assuming he's fully healthy, then it's just he's going through a cold stretch, and a bunch of teams are going to pay for this. Sometime in mid-May.
Yeah. He's always been like that. That's what he's thinking. He's always had that.
Yeah. He always heals up in August.
Yeah, it gets warmer and he gets hotter. Yeah.
Chris, what do you got?
Well, I think since we're talking about hot and cold starts, I feel like we have to talk about Acuna a little bit.
Yeah,
because he definitely does not right now look like the same guy that we saw last year. He was asked before the Marlins series if he's in, if his knee's bothering him at all, and he said no, he feels fine. His timing is just off, which was, great to hear. Harold Reynolds on MLB Network actually did a video breakdown of his swing and a couple pitches from last year versus his swing this year. And he does seem like for right now, he isn't loading up on his back leg the way he did all of last season. His swing looks a little bit shorter. So it's possible that it's bothering him, but I think it's more likely that, after his injury, he was really tentative about it, and he may have developed kind of like a habit here that he's going to have to work through. Right? I mean, even in 2022, when he wasn't hitting for power, he ran a little bit, but he wasn't running like this. Like the way he's stealing bases, the way he's scoring from first, like I think his legs feel fine. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see if he can kind of work through this little glitch in his swing.
Chris, you were telling me via text that he almost hit a home run, like a line drive, two feet from going over. So some of that power's there, right?
Yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah, he missed a home run by like a foot. He missed one today. It was fouled by like a foot or two. The Braves are actually like the Braves doubles. They're on a path to break the franchise doubles record. So I know they tied the Major League home run record last year. So we might just be seeing a little bit of regression from that, and all these balls are going to hit the wall instead. But I don't know. Acuna is not someone I am personally worried about, but maybe because I love him so much, I should be, and you all really, really should be. Like if I was on a boat that was sinking and I had my wife on one side and Acuna on the other, and there was a boat that only fit like one person, I'll tell you, my wife and I are good swimmers. We'll be fine. I'm putting Acuna in the boat. So I feel like that is a warning to everyone that when something means this much to me, I mean, Jeff can tell you maybe it's concerning.
Being so close to the Acuna situation through Chris, I'm not concerned, but again, maybe I should be. What do you think, Ty, as a Braves fan?
I'm not too concerned yet. And when you've got Marcell Ozuna with an OPS plus of like, I don't know, 285 or something insane so far, he's carrying the team. Ronald will settle in. He'll be fine. I'm not sounding the alarm just yet.
Right. Are we buying Marcell Ozuna? Should we expect an uptick in Ozuna cards? Like right now,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I was telling Chris I sold the one Ozuna card I had on COMC. I had a rookie autograph 1983 top style sticker auto. Sold it for $7 on COMC. So now I have no Ozuna cards. The big news in baseball this week was Jackson Holliday finally getting the call up. Everybody thought, well, is he going to start with the club? He didn't start with the club. He was part of a couple big games with that Norfolk team, but he came up and struggled a little bit early on. But there's another guy on his team that's really gotten a lot of headlines. Phil, you want to talk about Mr. Colin Cowser a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let me just move away from Francisco Lindor. Nothing to see there. Yeah, so Cowser right now, absolutely killing it. And he wasn't even he makes the opening day roster, and he's not even like starting every other day.
Right.
Like he's like a bench bat. And then all of a sudden he gets a few at-bats here and there, and he's making the most out of them, like a double here, home run there. And now he's like tops in the league in like total bases. He's right up there with Mookie Betts. And from a major league standpoint, he's probably right, like not too far away from him. So if you look at it, his StatCast, and guys, whenever somebody's super hot, you do see a lot of red, but in this case, really exceptional. But I think he's going to slow down. He is swinging a lot. He's striking out a little bit more than what you'd like. He's not walking a whole lot, and I don't see this being super sustainable. But 74th percentile sprint speed, outs above average, 90th percentile. So we're dealing with some other pretty good skills too. And you don't always know what you're going to get from a defense standpoint or from a speed standpoint until these guys actually crack the bigs, because you don't get that same level of data, or it doesn't transfer as well as what you think is what it might from an offensive standpoint.
Phil, what are those exit velo numbers down there in the bottom? Like with the red, I have a hard time seeing them. It's like there's an average and then there's a max. Like what are those numbers?
So the max exit velo 113.6. So that puts him top 90th percentile in the league. And then his average exit velo right now is 93.1. Also very good.
Yeah.
Frame of reference, I think Bobby Witt is around 95, which is pretty unreal.
All right.
Yeah. So Cowser's PSA 9 Chrome Prospect Auto first, just the base auto. it's pop 93. There's 194 higher, so good gem rate on that. That just sold for $120. It's up about nearly 100%, nearly doubled in the last 30 days. So $120 for him, and it just had Holliday up. Holliday's at $620.
Yeah,
So,
80%
big difference.
cheaper for Cowser.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, Cowser, I was looking up his WAR numbers, and he's got 1.2 WAR, 1.2 Baseball Reference WAR in 38 plate appearances. So he's got less than half the plate appearances of guys like Mookie Betts. He's ahead of Trout, Ozuna, some of these other guys we've talked about in just 38 plate appearances. Like Phil said, it's unsustainable unless he's the second coming of Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle.
It is amazing how a guy who can go be the 5th overall pick just a few years ago, like, can kind of have been lost in the shadows of Rutschman, Gunnar, and Jackson Holliday, like all on the same team. So it's not like this guy was low pedigree and came out of nowhere. He's expected to be really good, and he is.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, let's wrap up the hot and cold conversation there. Before we go, though, Ty, I wanted to ask you about some fantasy baseball questions, and if anything sticks out to the group, because I know there's a lot of fantasy baseball players amongst us.
Yeah, I think we can kind of round out the hot and cold conversation just by looking through. This is league settings from a league I'm in, and it's a little funky in that we have like errors and on base percentage, so a little bit different from maybe what people are used to seeing. But if we kind of scroll down, you guys can see this. Okay, if you can't, you can blow it up on your side. You can maximize the screen, but I'll just scroll down and kind of point out, like, Spencer Steer has been really hot so far. His cards have been really hot. He's about double over the last 30 days on a lot of his cards. Tyler O'Neill, who I guess I didn't see it, but he had some kind of a scare with Devers today or something.
Yeah, there was a pop-up, and he and Devers going back and O'Neill running forward, and it was loud. They didn't hear each other. He just ran right into the back of Devers' head. I believe he had 7 or 8 stitches. So
yeah, he's going through a concussion protocol. Hopefully he won't miss much time, as he's been off to a career best start.
Another guy I see on this list is Adolis Garcia. I know he's a little older, but what do you guys think about Adolis Garcia from a card standpoint?
Well, we were joking. He looks like he's on the juice. He's just so jacked now.
Oh, he's
kind of
enormous,
waiting for that to come out. But I don't know. I don't see the like sustainability. So he's not somebody I've really looked too closely at. I did buy one of his Stadium Club autos.
Yeah, his Stadium Club like rookie auto is a nice image. It's on card and it's like super affordable. I keep looking at that and be like, I'll get one later. And then it just ticks up slightly, and I kick myself a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's a really good player. His postseason last year was absolutely unreal, that role he got on for a few games.
Yeah.
How old is he, by the way? I know he was in 2018. Bowman
19, maybe 31 years old.
31. I will show him.
So it's technically his breakout was in 2023, 39 home runs, but the stolen bases were way down. So he was a 20+ stolen base guy until last year. He was at 9, but this year he's already at 4. So I guess that's coming back.
He's so jacked. How can he run?
Exactly.
He's just pulling the base towards him, I think,
right.
more than he is going to it.
The earth moves toward him.
Yeah.
It's the
another guy on there that I wanted to mention is a guy that I don't collect and don't like. It's Jose Altuve, but I think he's got 2 more home runs today. He just keeps plugging away. We've talked in the past on a couple episodes about his cards and the viability of them long term. Is there anything there if he keeps playing like this? I mean, or is that stain of the World Series just going to follow him around forever?
I think there's something there. I think there's enough. Well, first of all, I mean, any Houston fan is going to want his cards forever, I think. And I think there's enough people who are either not too bothered by it because they assume everybody in baseball was doing it or even is still doing it, or maybe they don't believe, there was a pretty compelling video, like sort of debunking the wire and all of those types of things. So there's probably a subset of people, maybe 40% who are still like, screw that guy. I think slowly people are kind of, letting go of it a little bit. I mean, seeing how like suddenly people who hated Barry Bonds a year ago are now like loving him on Instagram. I don't know, narrative shift.
Yeah, I'm comfortable saying that there's absolutely no one in the state of New York or the state of California that will ever really want Jose Altuve cards, but there is 48 other states. And he is going to end with some pretty incredible numbers, really good shot at 3,000 hits. He will probably coast into the Hall of Fame. The voters may make him wait a year because of what happened. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the body of work is going to be very, very impressive when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think he's a decent buy, actually. And what happened in 2017, you can make the argument that it's multiple years, sure, and that it was beyond, banging the drums and that there was the buzzer and all that. I don't know if I buy into the buzzer story, but I get the argument. I think that his card's are already discounted for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's quite a bit of upside. And I think people aren't quite aligned to the very real possibility that he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? That could happen. He might just slide. A lot of people are calling him already the best Astro ever. And we talk about the Dodgers market and the Yankees market being one where you get, a premium based on where you play. But the Astros over the last 7 years, they're proving themselves to be a top 10 market, top 5 to 10 market at least. Yeah. And like Ty said, I mean, you just need 2 bidders, right? And 2 bidders from Houston to bring those prices up. And I might bid too, and I'm from Boston.
Yeah, and he's pretty cheap. Like you said, there's probably a discount already applied because of all that stuff. And I think some people were thinking, well, he's on the downside of his career, but as this start is any indication, he's just still right in the thick of his prime.
Several of your Brewers are off to a hot start, Jeff.
Oh,
with Contreras and Yelich. Frelick's been playing a little better lately.
Yes, and Cheerios back, hit another home run, stolen base today. He doesn't seem overwhelmed. He's had a couple slow games, but yeah, Yelich's back is of some concern, of course, because he's been off to a great start. He made a slight swing adjustment, got rid of his big kick, just went to a small step, and he's been crushing the ball. So I hope his back is okay. We see him back sooner than later. And a lot of the young guys, like Bryce Terang, he was supposed to be it last year, and he started off great, but he was overmatched. But this year, he sure is coming out on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, and base running, looking really good. But Contreras, they hit him lead off yesterday, hit a home run, stole a base.
He's killing it.
So he's doing a lot of stuff you don't see catchers typically doing.
No,
catchers are a rough hobby investment. They just don't seem to sustain their value. So he's hard from that standpoint. But
do we need another buddy system, Jeff? Do we need to establish a rule? Like if you want to buy a catcher, like I have to stop you and do we need a second buddy system?
You have to remind me about Buster Posey and Joe Mauer's values.
Yeah.
What about Salvador Perez, guys? Like this sort of thinking, this mindset, Chris, could be a large reason why Salvador Perez is going to be probably a really good buy within the next year or two. Because isn't he kind of like Yadier Molina, one team his whole career? Isn't he kind of like leading up to a similar sort of narrative? And he's not slowing down. It's almost like he's getting better with age. And I know we talk about fantasy more than we should on here, but he was getting drafted as a first baseman to slot in the like people that already had catchers are drafting him, and he's been killing it. He's a big part of why the Royals are awesome right now.
Until he got hurt yesterday as well, killing our fantasy lineup.
He's supposed to be back tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, but
he's usually pretty durable.
I think what you're saying, Phil, he's in the news a lot because of that 250th career home run, and a lot of talk about the comparison with him and Molina. Obviously, one was a little more successful defensively than the other, but you're right, that narrative could be similar. But will that mean value, Chris? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about Perez also has some postseason success too. I think he has a postseason MVP on his resume. But he also, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I believe he just has one rookie card. I think he just has a Bowman Chrome rookie card. And that's it. I want to say 2011?
2010,
right?
maybe.
2010?
2010 Bowman Chrome first. And no auto is what you're saying. Sounds about right.
And then I think in 2011 it's like his only rookie card. I'm pretty sure it's in Bowman Chrome. But annihilate me in the comments, viewers, if I'm wrong. I don't think Perez has the RC Shield either.
Which
he's got a Bowman and a Bowman draft. He's got a Bowman Chrome and a Bowman draft rookie card.
Okay.
So like two different images.
What year is that, Ty?
Bowman's. That's interesting. Those are 20. Oh, interesting. No, he's got a that's his prospect card. That's just mislabeled. 2010 is his prospect. 2011 is his Bowman draft rookie card. But he does have a Bowman Sterling rookie card in 2011 as well.
Okay. But yeah, that Bowman draft, that's a black border, the 2011 design.
Mm-hmm.
Does that have the RC stamp on it?
It does.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, that's interesting. If the Kansas City market wants to support him, they've got one rookie card really to go after. No,
yeah, we know what Scott would be doing right now. I'd be looking at his WAR for Baseball Reference and Fangraph. So let's pull that up. And then it probably says all we need to know to refute him being undervalued.
Yeah, we know we had one huge season, right?
One huge offensive season.
That's it? 15.9? All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Unless something takes place of WAR.
He's at 50. He's got 250 home runs and he's got a 15.9 WAR.
No, you were looking at Pete Alonso.
That was Pete Alonso. That was Pete Alonso on fantasy. This is Perez at 33.5.
Okay, that's more reasonable.
But his Fangraphs WAR is 15.9 though. I added up.
Is it really?
I pull it up.
That can't be that much lower, can it?
I just checked to make sure it wasn't Pete Alonso.
That's got to be the biggest gap we've seen.
Is this also the first time anyone has possibly confused Salvador
Catchers
Perez?
have a lot of discrepancies because of the way the two sources count for pitch framing.
15.9.
Oh my God.
So he does pitch framing really, really poorly. I guess that's what that means.
I mean, that's extremely poor. Wow.
Does he just not catch the ball?
Right. I mean, our 6-year-olds, they might have a better defensive WAR than that. Wow.
Oh boy.
Good Lord.
All right. Well, good. On that note, let's wrap it up for this episode. Please let us know in the comments if you guys are concerned about any of these cold starts, if you're buying any of these hot starts, or if we missed any players you'd like to talk about. And we'll see you on the next time. Thanks for watching, everybody.